A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for finding time to be with us today. The show is Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and as usual, we're coming to you from Kenya's capital here in Nairobi. I trust that your day has started off well. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're in. All right, I apologize for that. So we will we'll just get into the papers, and then shortly I'll bring in my panelists, and we'll continue with the conversations and some of the topics that we have on, the front pages of the leading newspapers in the country. And on the Standard newspaper, the main headline on the Standard newspaper, a CSS order to chiefs on Uhuru choice. Matiang'i says when the president takes a position on any matter, all provincial administration officers must take cue without fail, once again as contradicting directives. The story is on page 7 of the Standard newspaper. The Kenya-Uganda egg wars, the story is on page 12. Omicron cast a dark shadow over Christmas. You'll find that on page 4 of the Standard newspaper. And then just besides that, Reuters plan to upstage Raila in Western. Deputy President piles pressure on former NASA chiefs Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula to join forces with UDA to face ODM leader Raila Odinga next year. The story is on page 6 of the Standard newspaper. And a revealed inside deal Babu struck with DJ Evolve, and commitment by MP Babu Owino. We see it has been outlined there to clear the 17 million Kenya shillings hospital bill, and then to buy a car custom made for the DJ, to set up a DJ academy, to pay nursing home cost until DJ Evolve recovers, and then to pay in advance 2-year rent, water, electricity, internet, and drugs, and buy a house for the DJ and register it in his name and that of his parents, and build the DJ another house in Utawala. Okay, so that is the settlement that was agreed between Embakasi, a member of parliament, there with DJ Evolve. All right, and so the story is on page 8 of the Standard newspaper. And on the Daily Nation, the main headline, KRA to access cash in secret bank accounts, nowhere to hide. Taxman goes for Kenyans who have stashed billions of shillings in foreign countries, including popular tax havens like Switzerland, Panama, Cayman Islands, and British Virgin Islands, as government titles the news on tax evaders and beneficiaries of illicit wealth. The story is on page 9 of the Daily Nation. Boon for flower exporters as direct exports of cut flowers to European markets from Eldoret Airport have resumed. I think that is very good news there. And the story is on page 8 of the Daily Nation. 2022 race. Kiraitus U-turn on Raila support. The story is on page 5. Reprieve for Kinoti, court suspends arrest warrant. That is on page 4 of the Daily Nation. And how to make merry without gaining weight and matters health. And then flu outbreak, sneezing, coughing, and fever, symptoms of influenza A. Surveillance results from the Kenya Medical Research Institute and the Center for Global Health Research in Kisumu show that there is an outbreak of influenza A. The story is on page 11. And Ruto and Raila fight for voters in diaspora. You find that on page 6. And Omicron is here. Wave peaks at Christmas. The story is on page 10. And I think that will form the basis of our main topic of discussion this morning. We are joined by Sharon Gitonga from Nairobi. Sharon, a very good morning to you.
Thank you very much, Miriam, and a very good morning to you from Nairobi, and to all our viewers who are watching us, whether it's their morning, afternoon, or evening in Kenya, Africa, and the entire globe. Good morning.
All right, a very good morning. And also I see that Dr. Matanga is joining us. So once he's able to join us fully, I think we will have this conversation. But before we get into the main headline this morning, the main topic this morning, perhaps a few stories that I'd like for us to start looking at. And I think much of it has to do with politics, and some of which I've read. I don't know what has stood out for you there, Sharon Gitonga, of the headlines that I've read this morning.
Thank you very much, Miriam. And I think there's a certain topic that you've talked about, KRA now going after, people with offshore accounts. And I am wondering, I think we had this discussion way earlier, and we cited some of the different reasons as to why people opt to invest in the offshore accounts. And it's actually, for me, from where I see it, I feel like it's only unfair to start demanding them to bring it back when you look at probably high returns on investments or favorable tax regimes or even safety, among other reasons. So I think what they could actually do, and that is in collaboration with different agencies like EACC, is trying maybe to look at if actually these offshore accounts and the money that has been generated in these offshore accounts is as a result of proceeds of crime, or talk about money laundering and public coffers and all that, because I believe it is legal to stash money in offshore accounts and going after every person. For me, I feel like it's more or less going to be infringement of rights. However, I also think KRA needs to get very strategic and change their way of approach, because it's like they have created a certain perception. Now, if people hear about KRA, it seems they look at them as adversities, as opposed to looking at them being enablers and partners to grow up businesses. I understand there are shrewd Kenyans who actually deliberately fail to pay up taxes. You saw the other day the famous Wamboi, who had evaded up with 2.12 billion. I mean, that's a lot of money that would do so much if it's actually brought forward. And the best they would do is she was taken to court and given up a bail of 25 million with her daughter, so that totaled to 50 million. So I believe if these kind of monies are in one way or another, we are able to, bring back these monies, and probably KRA also changing their approaches. We are going to be at a safer place whereby we will have more businesses, more competition, we'll have more employment, and then people are going to be able to pay up more taxes. So I think it's an issue of them actually trying to change their strategy. The other day, you heard them saying they're actually going after, lifestyle audits of people in social media. I believe you do not tax the wealth of a person, because most of this wealth is actually accumulated. You tax the income of a person. So I think it's all about the strategy and the way of approach. Then they're going to be able to recollect much more taxes. Thank you.
All right, but if you cannot account for how you have accumulated that wealth, so what is KRA supposed to do, Sharon?
Miriam, if probably, let's say, for example, you look at someone's life on social media and you see them maybe flaunting of properties, or, some of this wealth is actually accumulated. Some of them have actually inherited from their parents. So actually going after them, trying to tax their wealth as opposed to their income is not the best way to go up to. And then on the other hand, like I earlier talked about, I think there's also a need for KRA to change their approach on how they come after people. I remember the other day when we were talking about police and, how we were saying the perception that the public has generated about, the police. They don't believe, they could be a good police. Probably, maybe if they're able to look into the approach and how they come about these, who knows, more people are going to, more people are going to come up and pay taxes, because now going to look into people's offshore accounts, yet we have shield Kenyans here who are, even evading amounts to a tune of even billions and billions of money. I think that is jumping overboard. Let us first, try and accumulate, try and, pick up the taxes here locally before we get into meddling, into offshore accounts.
Very well, thank you so much. And of course, we are joined by Dr. David Matsanga. Doctor, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Miriam. I don't know whether I'm audible enough. Good morning, all of you.
Good morning, good morning.
Thank you very much. Am I audible enough? Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. I'm listening to this debate of taxation and KRA. There are two things we should not mix. The measures that the KRA is bringing out are really deterrent. They are deterrent measures, Sharon. They are simply saying, we are coming. They might not be achievable, but the mere fact that you hear, you have some money abroad, which you have stashed and you have not declared your status, Sharon, you start making it good. They are simply saying that's the way things should go. For example, it is very clear what KRA, one of the methods they should do is to attach by data a number of every person with the PIN number too. For example, you don't need KRA to collect tax from Safaricom. You need only to attach every person who pays Safaricom, who has got a Safaricom number, whether here or in Britain, whatever you are, that Safari number, as soon as you do any service on the Safaricom number, like you go to buy airtime, Miriam and Sharon, the tax is taken already. That's what a country like Namibia has done. Namibia has done that. Britain has done that. They do it. You might not feel you are paying something to British Telecom or EE Mobile, but you have already paid. They are not bothered whether you don't use that airtime or not. For them, they have taken their sale. They have taken their tax. It is already in the tax treasury. So I think on top of all this, I allowed some of the activities of the KRA. They have been doing so well, Sharon. Let's give them a pat or a good clap. A bit of some of stringent measures have shaken some people. And you can see some people even jump through windows. You saw the other lady who is now saying, turning around to say, my life, her life is in trouble. So for me, sincerely speaking, the other guy, I think I need to raise my camera a bit. Is that okay? The studio should tell me. So, in a nutshell, those measures are very good, Miriam. They make people run. They make people run around to collect the money. They make people run around and the people make it very quickly. And they do the compliance. But I agree also with Sharon to one extent that it could be, we should have in KRA what we call tracing department. A tracing department like a Red Cross. Our television here brings in ideas. Let's have a tracing department like the Red Cross really. I remember very well I did not have children. I had children in 1980. But all of a sudden in 1985, I had no children, Miriam. You can ask me, you are going to ask, did they die? Where did they go? Nobody wanted to touch my children. Because at that time, Museveni considered me a rebel. NRA were chasing everybody. So my children were scattered among the relatives. But the Red Cross, International Red Cross, has got what we call a tracing department. Miriam, believe me or not, they will trace. By then, there was no DNA. But your children, if you have left them like 6 years, 3 years, 4 years, 9 years, 11, they will know this is my dad. Isn't it? Children know. The Red Cross traced these children of mine, all of them. And we are able to track, to get the record from the description that I gave. This one is Miriam, this one is another one, this one is Efo, this one is Ephraim, this one is Paddy, this one is Nora, this one is Alex, this one is somewhere here. They were able to track them, to say these are. And they said, we have now been able, as the Red Cross internationally, they go deep quietly in those villages and look for your child. So the KRA should develop such a method. And the medium, I want to tell you frankly that our programs are lauded by the Ministry of Health, because yesterday I received a call from we in a group where I am, one of the ministers of people in charge, top ministers of health, or assistant minister is also in the group. I was happy. She answered to our presentation here when we talked about data. So all what a KRA can do is data collection. Data collection. Put the data together. You can
they do that with it's a multi-agency that was formed, and so KRA is in there, ESCC is in there, assets recovery is in there. So it is already there. So whatever KRA is seeking to do now is collaborate with some international agencies and international governments so that this is made easier, especially for those who have offshore accounts. But here, if KRA wanted, it can do, it can trace you. It has the other systems in place. Perhaps it's the way they choose to implement it that maybe there's a problem in that, but it is there. They're able to trace.
Yes, they are able to trace, but I'm only backing up the point that the points that she has made. They have done. Those are deterrent measures, and that is a very good job they are doing. At least Mr. Mburu is doing a great job, the Director General, and these are the people who are most hated by the group that actually you know very well here, that hated the DCI. And then he went to make sure that you have to arrest him and to take him alone, to follow him up. Medium, that is it.
All right, thank you. And I know we have a topic of discussion, and that has to do with the recent upsurge of COVID-19 cases. And there's just a story I read there earlier about now the Ministry of Health is also raising another concern as there seems to be an outbreak of flu. I think for the first time, I'm just happy that I'm not out there so much, because everywhere you turn, people are coughing and sneezing. I'm so happy that I don't have to come into contact with so many people, because there seems to be an outbreak of flu, and that is according to Cambridge surveillance results have shown that there is an outbreak of influenza A. So perhaps let's just look at that even as we get into our topic of the day and see what this is about. And I see Samuel Tawish has joined us. Tawish, a very good morning to you.
A very good morning indeed, Miriam Ogutu. Good morning, Dr. David Masanga from the Political Command Center, and a colleague panelists, and of course our viewers watching this program in Kenya and the rest of the world.
All right, thank you so much, and nice to have you. So the corridors of hospitals around the country are full of parents with children sneezing, coughing, and presenting with high fever. The nation has learned. Surveillance results from the Kenya Medical Research Institute, KEMRI, and the Center for Global Health Research in Kisumu show there is an outbreak of influenza A. The survey done between September and November revealed the flu that we've seen has been all over the place. Thank God I've not contracted it. I think I've been trying to just stay in my house. Yeah, so that also is a cause for concern. Sharon, I don't know if you've seen this around.
Thank you very much, Miriam. And of course, it has also been, a point of concern. I think to some extent, I have also fallen a victim of, this outbreak. I had some severe fever and, a dry cough. And when I hear, KEMRI talking about it being, could be, symptoms of influenza, I think this is something that, should really concern us, even as we are battling up, through the thick fog of COVID-19. I think moving forward, what people need to do is, bear their own, personal responsibility. Now that we have so much, we already dealing with. Also having these other flu on board, it means people need to continue, taking up the punitive and stringent measures that have been put in place, and more so, staying indoors if you not necessarily need to go out. Something of concern. I think over the weekend there were some concerts in Nairobi, and there was a point that I noted that actually these thousands of people, most of them actually over 70% of the people there were not, in mask, and there's no social distancing. So that aside, even the political rallies, I think those are key issues and key areas of concern that maybe each and every person needs to look into. And now it's not even about the government, but a personal responsibility, because the government has been at the forefront to do the best that they can do, but at the end of the day, the battle and the ball falls squarely at the foot of each and every individual. So we are not out of the woods yet. Who knows? We might have more. More other, variants, and also other outbreaks. So just to remind each and every person that, it is a personal responsibility. It's not just the responsibility of the government. Thank you.
Very well, Tawish. That could only mean that perhaps people are not wearing their masks, because if you're wearing your mask and maybe the next person has the flu, you're most likely not to contract it if you're properly wearing your mask.
Oh, bro. Well, Miriam, thank you so much, and thank you, Sharon, for that submission. I think, Miriam, to some extent, ever since President Uhuru Kenyatta, of course, relaxed the strict measures that were in place, people felt like when the president made that pronouncement, they mistook it for this, pandemic to have gone out of course, our reach. And I don't think that is the position clearly, because that was just in a bid to try and see whether people can get back to their normal businesses, whether we can work together towards revitalizing our economy. But again, people appear not really to be, when it comes to the issue of, for example, social distancing, is something that I would say has largely been ignored. The issue of wearing masks, some of people are wearing masks while others are not doing that. And also the aspect of sanitizing. You go to social places today, Miriam, and you'll be surprised how people are just mingling. They have forgotten about this social distancing thing and all of such kind of things. So in itself, I think it has posed a very big challenge in as far as trying to contain this pandemic is concerned. But we must also be cognizant of the fact that, of course, there's also the emergence of that new variant called the Omicron. And coupled with all those challenges, much as there's a lot that maybe the Ministry of Health or government is doing to try to see how we can reduce this curve, there's also those challenges that come with, of course, those new variants that you cannot quite understand. How are we going to approach? But I think the appeal we can register or put to our people is that they must just continually observe the MOH protocols that were put in place, so that, because these are the only ways, these are the only approaches that we can really engage in a bid to see how we can reduce the COVID-19 infections, Miriam, or the spread of it. So I think we need to go back to that self-responsibility. ensuring that we wear our mask at all time, ensure that we do social distancing, ensure that we use sanitizers where necessary. And also, Miriam, the issue of people going to take these vaccines. I mean, I remember when the issue of vaccines began in the country here, people were saying we only have a few vaccines and there was a priority. Priority people who are to take this jab, the elderly, those who are working in critical organizations. But now we have so much of vaccines that the government has made sure that it's actually available. And even what used to be, for example, specific places, even if you go to a matatu, say, for example, matatu terminus, as we speak now, you go to these social places, you go to churches. I mean, these jabs are readily available and they are free. We need to continually remind our people that it is necessary for them also to take this jab, because in itself also is going to improve the immunity and reduce the chances of someone getting infected with this COVID-19 pandemic. So generally, those are things that we really need to do and continually carry out this campaign. Just like Dr. Masanga did say that how many of our TV stations or local media houses are really trying to carry out this campaign to sensitize members of the public. We do not necessarily need to wait to be paid to carry out this campaign. Every other time, people need to be reminded that they need to do this. And that's why Punchline Africa TV usually, Miriam, and I think it's a very good thing from even the production and management, that every time, even as we run these programs, we have those clippings that are running below our television, reminding people about all the MOH protocols. This is very, very essential and very, very critical. These are things that if all of us can carry along, then we will be we'll be gearing towards, of course, reducing the spread of this COVID-19. I submit, Miriam.
Very well.
Miriam, just a quick one. Tawish talked about the new variant, and I think as at yesterday, I had the CS actually saying that they have confirmed 3 new cases of Omicron. So, sorry?
Yeah, that is what I wanted to bring in, and then I bring in Dr. Masanga, but go ahead.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So I was saying, I think in itself, that is something that is already raising eyebrows and, having already these cases, and given the fact that, it is actually a variant that is said to, have a very high infection rate of up to 500%. So I think people need to be very, 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 very cautious about even the new Omicron.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Now, Kenya is experiencing, I'm reading from page 10 of the Daily Nation, Kenya is experiencing its 5th COVID-19 wave, and experts say that the detection of the Omicron variant in the country may lead to a sharp increase in the number of positive cases. The country's positivity rate has in recent days been rising exponentially, with a Kenyan scientist model predicting that the numbers will be higher during the Christmas period. The Center for Epidemiology Modeling and Analysis, the national body that works with the Health Ministry, has no update on future and past models. Dr. Shem Otoi, who does COVID-19 predictive models from the Lake Region Economic Bloc, will on Thursday present his findings on Kenya at the ongoing Conference of Public Health in Africa, organized by the African Union and African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. And just below that is also another story. And no lockdown, Kagwe says, as 3 Omicron cases are confirmed. The government has ruled out reinstating lockdowns, even as the first 3 cases of the COVID-19 Omicron variant were confirmed among travelers arriving from South Africa. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe yesterday said a South African and 2 Kenyans have gone into isolation after they tested positive for the variant. He added that the country is ramping up its surveillance at all points of entry. The 3 arrived through the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. So I think something that we've been talking about here, and I think Doctor has been very persistent in saying, could we just beef up our surveillance when it comes to, the guests that are coming into the country, especially from those countries that have already recorded cases of Omicron. So we have recorded 3 cases, but those are from people who came from South Africa. So Doctor, you've been saying this, and finally, now we have to deal with it.
Miriam, I've been consistent. One of the problems that Africa has, I'm a Gentile preaching to the Jews. Always, I told you from yesterday, I will be using that statement so that maybe some people will have sympathy. a Gentile preaching to the Jews is a very difficult task. And I've been preaching, I've been telling the truth all the time. This, as an investigative journalist, I go through all this. When I'm traveling, I'm not just traveling. I'm not enjoying the seat. I'm watching every behavior on a plane. And when you come back and tell the government about the pitfalls, some people get annoyed. But the role of an investigative inquiring mind, a mind that is always, what do you call it, another word, Miriam, always, it is on tenterhooks to find out, inquisitive, is that the right word? Inquisitive mind. I am an inquisitive mind. There is nothing that passes. Even when I've gone for dinner, I have that security problem. That even when I go for dinner in a hotel, I end up not eating. And my wife always says, what is wrong with you? Why are you not concentrating? I tell my wife, you might be eating. We are concentrating on the salt, on the spoons. Then something, a terrorist comes from this side. You know, when you are trained in the army, you have that thing in the heart that you, wherever you are sitting, you think someone is going to attack you. The media should have better experience here. Army people don't take any chances. And an army man will not tell you, anybody who has been in the army will not tell you, ask that, have you locked the door? No. You'll go to the door and check. Check whether the door is locked. And I want us to learn. I want us to learn something from some of us with that wisdom, inquisitive mind. When you travel on a plane, you inquire. You look at the way the services are being conducted. By the time you reach London, 8 hours, I have written a full 25 pages of how to improve Kenya Airways, for example. Yes, by the time you arrive in Nairobi, you have written pages. And most of the time for me, when I go to the plane, I am on my computer. I don't want to discuss anything with anybody now. Even now, with these regulations of COVID-19, you sit on your seat, they tell you don't interact. So my computer is my friend. And by the time I reach Heathrow Airport, I've written everything I want about that trip. And I was telling people that there is a problem with South African papers because I have investigated. I did my investigations. South African people in South Africa pay to get this PCR forms, certificates are paid. They don't even take tests. And I'm happy I'm vindicated this morning when Miriam is saying, oh, Dr. Matsanga has been very concerned and right on this. Yes, I've been telling you, Miriam. I've been telling the panel here, we have a problem. Because I had 2 guests from South Africa whom I had to take, to tell the authorities to take to Mama Lucy Hospital for quarantine. I had them talk about, oh, tunataka kupata, can you send that certificate? I said, send which one? When you are leaving Kenya, you have to go and do a certificate check. We have institutions in Kenya here, mid-test, what? So many of them, go and get your certificate. Uwezi, you will not climb the plane. I refused. With the business, I even told them, whatever business we wanted to do, take it. But for the sake of saving Kenyans, for the sake of saving this country, I did that. And the health authorities, they did not climb. I don't care. They are my friends. I didn't care whether there was anybody going back to work in the office down there. You work and you are spreading a disease. You are going to spread the disease on that plane by getting a forged document. We have lowered our guard. We have lowered our guard, and we must be careful. State it categorically. We have lowered our guard, Miriam. People checking the documents at the airport are not thorough. Miriam, the documents at the airport have become food, a hub of corruption. The Minister of Health can talk tough the way he's talking everywhere. But the team go back and do a house cleaning exercise. Those documents, people are even, you see people now taking the head inside the kiosk. There is a kiosk at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport where you put your, The other day when I was climbing a plane going, I saw one man pulling out money, putting it under the certificate. So I turned and I came back. My friend Miriam, if you travel with me, when one of these days when we are going to do programs abroad, you will, like in Africa, you will say, hey, my boss, let's go. No, it concerns me. You might be going on the same plane. So this man was putting money under the paper, like this. He pulled out about 1,000 bob to give to the man to see the certificate. I said, my friend, verify that certificate. Then the man came up, opened the shell. Then he said, oh, Daktari. I said, no, please. What is that money for? What is it for? You are the people spoiling Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy. What is this money for? No, I said, what is the money for? Can you return your money? And you also. It was a guy, a colored guy, I think, coming from one of these countries in Cape Verde or somewhere. Said, oh, who are you? I said, my friend, who I am? I'm a journalist, investigative journalist. And an investigative journalist has powers to alert the police. If you don't return this money now and get your certificate, I'm not going. I have about 2 hours to climb, to take my plane. I'm gonna wait here until your paper is verified. Hey, he tried to go. I said, you go, I'm gonna call police. Is the paper correct or not? If it's not correct, call the I am telling you a true story. I called the health authority boss at the airport. There are things that we do. We are unsung heroes. I said, wewe mama, mi naenda kwa ndege. Tengeneza huyu mtu. Huyu mtu ana karatasi mzuri. Mumufunge baadaye. They cannot come to Kenya to spread the disease and then disappear. Leave people. They have behaved badly in their countries. And then they fly here. They buy documents. They buy documents. And the ministry, you see, as much as we want, let me be frank, as much as we want to safeguard the people of Kenya, yes, truly, we can give all these conditions, stop them from sleeping in hotels. The Ministry of Health must go to safeguard its documentation. The documentation, and I'm telling you, you minister, honorable minister, please listen to me. Hii mambo ya kuzungumza mengi kila pale is not worth it, Baba. Just sit down with your computer system, with your computer data, ICT system, do what we call locator. A locator form. Anybody from South Africa coming to Kenya, if you don't have a successful number from Nairobi, you don't climb that plane. Period. Period. Finish. Nyenye kuzungumiza mambo mengi mkule, you can eat your money. But me, I'm giving advice to the community. I'm giving advice to help President Uhuru Kenyatta. He has done very well. What can they can get their money? I'm not bothered. I've lived here 66 years. If God can increase me more, that's better. But I need to leave a legacy of teaching people who can follow. You can control the diseases from the airport. For anybody coming in Kenya must have a locator number if you are coming by air. And it must be comparison. Second day, if you're a visitor, you go and do a test to show what they call day 2 test, whether you did not carry the disease. Mr. Mutahi Kagwe, you would have saved the Kenyans over this Christmas, watakula Christmas yao mzuri. Utaona wale watu wawezi kuja, wenye wananunua makaratasi hizo za bandia kutoka South Africa. South Africa has bandia papers. There are doctors in South Africa issuing bandia documents. And they are bringing the disease to Kenyans. It's not xenophobia. I'm not Marema. Or I have never been xenophobic. We love South Africans. We gave them passports. They fly on our passports. But they don't like us there to enter there. Why do they come here? And on top of coming to enter free, they come and bring disease. Yes. Wakenya defended themselves. People are defending themselves here. As the media was saying, some of us even have hidden in our houses. We don't want even to go out. Even when you want fresh air, you can't have it. Then mtu atoke kwa ndege, anasambaza ugonjwa, anasambaza kuleta hapa. No, there should be a deterrent. And a deterrent is what we call a locator form. Get a locator, fill it. That locator has all the ministry, health ministry, immigration. You know everybody is there. Immigration, document readers, EACC, wote wakuwe pamoja. Criminal, the police, that in that sector, wakuwe na document verifier. Medium, it will stop. It will help us a lot. But if we don't do that, here inside Kenya, we have lowered the guard. We have opened night clubs. Go to any of the night clubs again, Mr. Kagwe. These night clubs you released to open. Watu wanacheza muziki paka subuhi. The mask that they used last night is the same mask which they are using for wrapping the face like this. Umesikia? Mzee, what? Please, media, they are using the mask, the same mask to wrap the face like this. Then you put it back. They are dancing. Hey! If I get my daughter going out with one of those, getting out of those clubs, miguu itavunjika. Well, That is ukweli kwangu, Miriam. I know when I speak like this, you think it's Mimi. Someone has danced and is smelling very early in the morning. Anatoka kwa club, anataka kuenda na bibi yako, na mtoto yako, whom you have spent almost 30 years feeding, and even being called names. Eh? No. Inamwambia mama, wacha huyo. That is one of the things. Strict. He has not put on a mask. Anaenda na wewe. You are spreading a disease. And these nightclubs are the ones spreading the disease. These drinking places, Mr. Kagwe, are the ones, you know them. You are the licensing officers. Now you are turning on innocent people who have saved their money. They want maybe for the once in a year. People who work, civil servants who work day and night. Fine. They want to relax once in a while. Me, I will never leave my mask. Whether COVID is declared finished, my mask will remain here. Meskia Miriam, now I know. Do you know that that's the new norm now? The first thing as I go out, masked. In the car, I will put box. In the house, box. In the toilet, box. In the kitchen, box. In case this one falls, you put quickly. Outside, when you go for meetings, carry 2 masks, 3 in the bag. This one could fall, you don't put back. We have lowered the guard. We don't wash hands anymore. We have gone back to our old behavior. Unatoka kwa toilet, you want to come, unaambia wenzi yako, nyama iko mzuri sana tuanze. Then you find your daughter is married to such. Oh my God. Anakula nyama anatoka kwa choo, anakuja kula nyama. Me, David Matanga, I swear no. Miriam, please. Nawa mikono. Wash your hands. We used to be beaten because we have not washed our hands. My father used to beat me. You could on the table. And they say, go and wash your hands. When Magoha tries to bring discipline here in schools, that good friend professor of mine from Siaya, munaanza nyenye wa Kenya, muko na kitu. There is something wrong here in Kenya. Someone is bringing something good. It's the money you condemn. But the thief who steals your money is the one you love most. Yeah. Tuko na hiyo Africa. We love Buhari because Buhari cuts us to pieces. You find some people even wearing Buhari t-shirt. Me, David Matanga, to wear Buhari's t-shirt. Me, to put on Buhari's t-shirt, I can cut my stomach for the intestines to come out. And there are certain people in Africa whose t-shirts I cannot put on my body. I believe Miriam knows them. That me, I can wear Ruto's t-shirt and run around with his head on my good stomach, this one here, which was well organized by my mother. When you are a thief is a thief. We have bad manners. We start with that. With not washing our hands, we lower the guard. Now you force the government to put a ban on us, on people who want to enjoy their good things on Christmas. Another point I want to make as I surrender the space for others to talk is that the Honorable Minister change his language, that it is voluntary. My friend, in the United Kingdom, my friend, can you hear me? In the UK, here, a restaurant which wants money Doesn't the owner of a cafe in the UK want money? They want money, Miriam. They want money, Sharon and Tawish. But he wakes up and prepares tea, coffee, nini kuuza watu. I bet if you don't show the certificate that you have fully complied, you can't have even coffee. You can't even press that machine. Are you people following me? You can't press a machine in the Victoria Station here, a machine, and press it and then go and drink coffee. Even if it is for free and put in money, even the one for money, they have now put their certificate. You show, you know what you do? The smartphone. Everybody works with the certificate on this smartphone. Look at mine. This is another one. This is another one. This is the one where my certificate is. Go, come. And say, hey, how many cups of tea you want? 2, we are 3. Does your partner have the yes? That's it. And there, you know, here we are not. We are harassing the government more than safeguarding ourselves. Some places, yes, the government. We have been singing one thing. Miriam, can I tell you what we have been singing? Since that medicine got lost, the corruption scandal came. That's all. That's all. As if that medicine stops you from washing your hands. I'm not saying I'm happy the medicine got lost. Those people should be punished. The culprits should be arrested, charged in court, sentenced. They are corrupt. They are equally thieves. Any thief is a thief, root or who, whether you are root or whether you are who, as long as you are corruptly engaging yourself in multi-practices to swindle money of the wananchi, umma money, ile ya pesa ya umma, unakula, unafanya tenda usiku, unawaambia fanya hii, broker, unakuwa kabroka, unataka kuwa president ya Kenya. When you're a broker, you must go to jail. And I hear somebody like Ruto says, oh, Singapore, Mr. Ruto, you were not there. We are grown up when the Singapore Prime Minister killed his own brothers. Usiambie watu kwa Singapore. If I were you, I would keep quiet and not talk about anything to do with Singapore or Malaysia. Hii rallies zako. You are now, you see now, the government is the one also bringing this disease. Can I tell you why? They are allowing Ruto, anybody to campaign with those type of things. Let me tell you, you can correct yellow t-shirts, but by next year, if we don't control this, there will be nobody coming to the polling station. People will be God forbid. People will be sick. One influencer is hitting everybody in Kenya. Like a smaller influencer. Isn't it here, Miriam? Isn't it here? Almost everybody in Kenya is now sneezing.
And that's why I'm not in my house now.
No, you don't. You are lucky. Stick there. Stay there. But everybody outside here, you found. But what about the spread of COVID-19? I'm teaching this, I'm saying this because I feel I've seen friends go down on COVID-19. We have experienced, some of us. It's not a good disease to go on correcting people. Unaenda Kiakabali, anataka kumaliza Waluya. He wants to finish us Waluya now. He hates us. In 2007, he hates us. Yes. Unakuja you are coming to Uluya land to finish us. I am the one from the clan of the Waluya. I protected the Luya in Kenya. Ruto anataka tumaliza sisi. All those rallies running. What disease is running there? People are going, you see the rate of infection has come to 12.5%. Am I wrong, media?
Yeah, it has jumped up.
First of all, people should stand on that car and tell people, do you have masks or not? Wear your masks before I speak to you. I am now also teaching him what he should do. Nobody is refusing him to do his politics because God told him he's the only one who can do politics and become the president of Kenya. Me, I don't want to become a president of even the president of Republic of Kenya, Uganda, where I'm born. I don't want, because I cannot manage a country which is already gone. It is going to be beyond its level. It has developed in some areas. It has not done very well in some. So let those who want to compete for leadership compete, not me. But I will start by telling people to wear masks. Those coming to my rally to wear masks first. If you don't have a mask, don't come near me. How many leaders are doing that, Miriam? How many? Look at the people Ruto was moving from all the way, from Bungoma, Kakamega, Chakabari. I know that area very well. Is he planning to finish us? Because we have a big population. Let's be honest also. Politics is gone. It's coming. Chebukati told us that campaign time is not yet. Why is he not enforcing the law? We have lowered the guard. How are we lowering the guard? Through lack of enforcement of the law by the Electoral Commission. If the Electoral Commission officials stood on the Land Rover of the Deputy President and told him that this rally is not permitted, can we do that? Yes, the Electoral Commission could have a right to serve you a note that you do another rally without us authorizing you to do the rally. We shall disqualify you from the presidential race. Will Ruto do it? We need a deterrent. But someone is reading the law. Mr. Chebukati is just reading the law, telling us that he's doing what we call lamentation. That there lived one king who died, and lamentation. Act by it. We have lowered the guard, Miriam. Act on data collection center. Create, Mr. Kagwe, if you are listening, and your people are listening, create what we call a locator form to locate for the disease. Let people go back, Britain. And Miriam, this will come in the next phase. I don't want to spoil what I'm going to talk about. Lobby petition in a second.
And Doc, before we end, because I see our time is gone, so that we can take a break and come back and talk about the other topic. I think on the government side, perhaps let me just speak through quickly what some of the things that I think CS Kagwe said that are very important. Yes, and I know you've been raising the issue of allocated number and things like that. But Mr. Kagwe said decisions to impose containment measures must be well thought out and based on science and not emotions. We started the process of ensuring that persons arriving in Kenya, particularly from South African countries, get tested. So they're saying anybody, as much as we're not able to stop the planes coming from these areas that have been recorded the cases of Omicron, but the government has put in very stringent measures. So anybody coming from these countries, they must be tested first, and they have to be taken to quarantine. And that's why they're able to discover these 3 cases. I think for right now, maybe we don't have a reason to worry so much, as I think the government is ensuring that nobody comes in the country and is not tested before the government assures they're safe, and for them to go out there and mingle with other Kenyans. So there are stringent measures that have been put in place there.
You know what, Miriam? You are testing them when they have arrived here. Why don't you stop them from coming from there? Yes. If he has got a full compliance certificate, the batch number of World Health Organization drug, the drugs we're having have got batch numbers. You only need to do a computer data bank that batch number corresponds with what is in the computer in Nairobi. Are we together, Miriam? Are we together? And that certificate will be found whether it was bought on the streets or not. Dubai, the Dubai way here, madam. Dubai, you can't just show them the document I am passing. I came from Nairobi. No. Wanatoa document yako wanaenda huko nyuma. It's like an examination waiting for an interview. Before they stamp, you hear that stamp doing tick on your passport. Your stomach will run left and right. If you have actually, medium, you have forged the certificate. Testing them here is more expensive for us. Are you clear? Are you with me? You are now spending more government money on testing them here. But you can save the government money using a locator number like Britain does. The British don't refuse you entry. They allow you to arrive. Now that we have even successfully, and the medium congratulate me like I also congratulated you yesterday. I successfully started a petition which was discussed in Parliament this week, and the law was passed from last week. The law was passed that all countries from Africa be removed from the red list. All. It is here. It's not a lie. They sent me a letter from the House of Commons thanking me so much for what I have done to initiate the petition. And that is, I can forward it to Stephen, because when you talk about the things these days in Africa, someone will think that maybe you are talking out of nonsense. I'm trying to get the letter, Miriam, to say thank you very much. You successfully, yes, petition. I don't know, it won't show, but it won't show, but it is here. It is here, Miriam. It says very clearly, MPs debate changes to travel restriction for red list countries. You are receiving this email because you initiated and signed the petition to allow a fully vaccinated people coming from red list countries to isolate at home in Britain. To unsubscribe from getting this email, blah, blah, let me go to the main letter. Dear Dr. David Nyekorach Masanga, you recently initiated the petition to allow fully vaccinated people from red list countries to isolate at home. Therefore, on 14th of December, the government of Britain, having discussed and finalized the debate through Parliament, which became a law. Have you marked my words? Which became a law. I have made a law there now. The British government cannot stop anybody who is fully vaccinated to arrive in the United Kingdom.
And I think that is what Kagwe is saying. You can come.
Kagwe cannot even debate here.
And they will not stop you, but we will test you. Just come.
No, testing is different. The British, they don't care. They have put mechanisms now. Yeah, you are right. Kagwe is also doing the same.
Because you can still get vaccinated and still
let me read my letter, which was addressed to me from Parliament. Can Muturi answer me this way? Muturi cannot even know whether he was a paramount chief of Eastern Mount Kenya. Can a speaker answer you? This letter came from the Speaker of House of Commons to me. And the father says, the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, Sajid Javid, my good friend from Leicester, a very good Asian from Uganda by origin, also confirmed that the temporary testing measures for international travel will be retained, which is Mutahi Kagwe, you are right, it's doing the same. The MPs discussed these changes in my petition. Hallelujah. The MPs discussed the changes as part of the debate on the range of changes to COVID-19 restrictions. And here, we thank you very much. Thank you, the petitions team of House of Commons, United Kingdom government, and the Parliament. Do you have any petition team in the Parliament here and the government? Does Kenya have a petition team? Does Kenya have lobby? I leave you to think about it. The letter is here addressed to Dr. David Nyokorach Matanga. I can't read my address publicly to everybody. It is here. I initiated the will. Miriam, you were here when I was talking about it. How many months ago? About 3 months ago. We talked on this show. I said we have moved and we got, do you know how much support I got? 135,000 people in Britain signed. We exceeded by 35,000 because we need only 100,000 for a motion to go to Parliament. This is, we have worked for humanity. We have tried our level best. But if Mutahi Kagwe is introducing that type of method, that's very good. Very good. But it is also, it must go with the locator number. If your locator number, if the person in the computer in Nairobi says you have failed, they have not given you, thank you for successfully. And here is your locator number. It is called the bunch number. Miriam, you don't step on the plane. Try to go to Germany. You can't enter a small local restaurant and eat without producing that thing on the phone. You can't climb a plane in Germany to go, even if you are going down a bus. No. We in Africa, we are becoming crybabies. Crybabies, and we are not changing our mindset. I submit that the time has come for you not to lower your guard, raise your guard. Raise your guard, wash your hands, isolate, sit where you are, Miriam, because you don't know. The last point that I want to make is this confusion between WHO and again, they say, you know, everything that is coming, the WHO is saying it is worse than the other one. You saw what he said today, that Africa, the director for African region says, no, Africa is in the fourth wave. Then WHO, friend of mine, that good Dr. Tedros, I have always been very skeptical is my friend for a long time. He said, this thing is catching like nobody has ever seen. Can you read the statement of WHO? Do you have it there, Miriam? Or I sent it to you. You read it to the people. It is very worrying. It is very worrying. And for us, that statement, he says this one, Omicron, is it Omicron? Something.
Omicron.
Omicron, you know, a disease is always bad to I have a problem with my tongue.
That is, it's named, they named them after the alphabetics of the Greek alphabet.
Yes.
So Omicron means 50.
How many alphabets do we have?
In the Greek alphabet, so Omicron means 15.
Yeah, so why don't they just tell us how many we have coming? So that's why I'm telling you, don't lower your guard. Always have your mask. As soon as you finish broadcasting, chap a mask. You have opened the window, chap a mask. Because it is coming from there. Miriam is saying she's in the house, but the house, you haven't locked the windows permanently. You can open the window like this, it comes. So even in the house, when you are doing it, unless you are going into a blanket, remove the mask. But in the house, when you are seated, chapa mask. Because it is everywhere. You don't know where it is. You are going to open for the door for a rider who has just delivered you food. He brings it. So the best thing is to have your mask throughout, except when you are going to sleep, because you can suffocate yourself. And to wash your hands, to make sure that the surfaces are clean, sanitized. People, when we started, everybody was working with sanitizer. I think it is Miriam and myself. I don't know. Mine is always like part of the pocket. Is here.
Mine is always near me.
Mine is here. I walk with it.
In every room I have sanitizers. I don't play.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much, viewers. That is it. We have, Miriam, we have 15 minutes to go.
No, we can take a short break because we're coming in at 10:30 so that you're able to.
Yeah, but let them make one, Tawish and Sharon.
Sharon, all right, Sharon, go ahead.
Make it just a short. Yeah, I'm sorry I've taken time, but I've spoken the experience, and it is Miriam who allowed me because she said, you have been talking.
Just blame me.
I've been talking.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Matanga, for your analysis. And I agree with you largely that, indeed Kenyans have dropped the guards. And, now we're actually feeling the negative ripple effects. If you look at the cases as at yesterday, we had, 799 and with a positivity rate of around 10 to, 12%. So in itself, that is something to really be worried about. And I couldn't agree further with all the stringent measures that you've said have to be put in place, and especially at the entry checkpoints, and as well as also trying to urge the public, to take up vaccines so that now we are able to contain it, and at the same time also following the MOH guidelines. You also talked about, political rallies, and I just remembered, I think it was on Friday, where the Deputy President actually, transversed, made 6 rallies in, one within a record of a day, and we've not had him, coming up to even urge people, at least to, observe the MOH guidelines, because I believe this has to come from even the, from the people that sit at the helm of the leadership. Any person who has the interest of the people at heart, and I believe should be someone who's at the forefront to protect the people, because if the people are not healthy, then how are they even going to vote for you, come 2022, yeah? So I agree with everything that you've laid out, and at the end of the day, the ministry will do what it can do. Even the government is at the forefront to see what they can do, but at the end of the day, Kenyans need to take up this personal responsibility, because at the end of the day, it's not much about what the government has done, but what you as an individual is actually trying to do to ensure that you curb the spread of the COVID-19. So people need to exercise caution and keep on wearing masks and sanitize where you do not have access to water, so that because you understand we are still not out of the woods yet. So and also probably even with the counties, I don't know how they have really the level of preparedness when it comes to these new variants. When you talk about ICU beds and oxygen, so probably even at the county levels, that is something they need to put in place to ensure that they are well prepared just in case things turn to the worst scenario. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And just to answer to that, the governor, who is now the chairperson of the Council of Governors, said that in the country, the ICUs, the beds and oxygen plants are functional, and there's enough beds. So in the counties, they are prepared. So that is what we're getting there. Asamoah Tawisha, quickly, your final submission.
Well, thank you so much, Miriam, and thank you the previous speakers for the submissions you've made. Indeed, Miriam, for us to have to make a success in this war against the COVID-19 pandemic and the spread of it, we must call upon collective responsibility from each and every one of us to make sure that we are doing the right thing wherever and in whatever we are doing. Because again, it is not about a single entity, it's not just about government, it's not about the Ministry of Health, it is about all of us to do the right thing. If it's about social distancing, it's about sanitizing, it's about wearing masks, if it's about going and taking the COVID-19 jab, Miriam, I think these are some of the things really we can adhere to make sure that at least we also help in the effort to try and, of course, curb the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. And it must also be, we must also be reminded that this disease has nothing to do with government. It is about ourselves and our own health and safety. And if we truly love ourselves and we love those who are around us, the people around us, then I think we must be very, very keen. We must be very, very observant and make sure that we do not want anybody really to prefect us, to be on the watch out, really to remind us to do the right thing. I think this must become more like a tradition, just like Dr. Masanga has indeed mentioned, that even if the COVID-19 pandemic would have been declared really to be over completely, that he will continue wearing the mask, because this mask is not only about, of course, COVID-19. There are so many other infections also that you can curb with, of course, the wearing of the mask and, of course, sanitizing and washing our hands. This must become more like a normal routine within us and in our society, so that collectively, Miriam, in whatever we are doing, we will be able to help in the government's efforts to try and reduce this COVID-19 pandemic. It is here with us, and more so during this festive season, we might get overwhelmed by emotions and excitement about the festivities and this Christmas and all such kind of things. To a point that we completely forget that the COVID-19 pandemic does not know anything to do with the festivity that is going to last here with us. So we must remain vigilant. I think that is what I can say for now. Thank you, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much. And very quickly, I think in response to that ruling that was made the other day in the court to suspend, some of those restrictions that the government had put in place when you want to access, some of the services from the government offices, we know the court suspended that, directive. But Mr. Kagwe, that is the CS for Health, said yesterday that we must recognize that internationally there are mitigating measures that must be followed. For example, in trains, buses, and airlines, you must show you're vaccinated. That is the practice elsewhere across the world, and that is what is going to happen in Kenya. So they're saying, regardless of what the courts might have ruled the other day, but this is a matter of public health and public interest, and lives is at stake here. So whatever we can do to ensure that Kenyans are safe, we will continue, I think, with enforcing some of those restrictions, despite, I think, of what the ruling said there. So thank you so much for your time this morning. We will take a short break, and then we will come back and continue with the other conversation. And so don't go too far. This has been Good Morning Africa. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.